remember 366 days ago on this very show on Evan and Tiki, I repeated a rumor I heard. I heard a rumor coming out of the Gracie's Mansion in New York City that they were ready as a city to name Jalen Brunson the King of New York. And I agreed with it. I said it at the time. I said Jalen Brunson is the new king of New York City.
But they didn't do it.
I don't know if they did it. It's such a secretive thing. I don't know what happened. I wish I did. But here's what I do know 1 year later. You can't argue about it anymore. Last night with the Knicks down 11. Last night with Karl Anthony Towns giving you another off night. Last night with the Knicks looking destined to lose. Jalen Brunson said, nah, not going to happen tonight.
Born to play basketball.
He said, Amen Thompson, you're having a wonderful game. Not tonight, sir. Jalen Brunson had another kingly performance. And as I was watching it, wasn't rooting for it, but I was watching it.
Yeah, you were. You were rooting.
I was not. Trust me.
You were tweeting.
I was tweeting positive and negative stuff.
No, but you tweeted some positive stuff.
I also tweeted that Amen Thompson was having the game of his life. But as I was watching the utter brilliance of Jalen Brunson, who has the city in the palm of his hands, I wondered back to a year ago. Because Tiki Barber argued with me. He said, Evan, as great as Jalen is, it's still Aaron Judge's city. Sean Borash, to be expected, argued it is still Aaron Judge's city. Well, a year has gone by. And let's be fair about what's happened in that year. Aaron Judge won an MVP. It was amazing. He then proceeded to drop a fly ball in the World Series.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Jalen Brunson continued the Knick vibes as they got to the second round of the postseason. And unfortunately, he got hurt at the very end, as did everybody else. He came back. Mikal Bridges is here. The Knicks have one of the best records they've had in a long time. And so what I want to know from you and everyone else out there is, are you now ready to bend a knee and accept that this city, this beautiful city, is under new management, and the king is Jalen Brunson? Are you ready, Teak?
Almost.
Oh, almost.
Almost.
Still
ready.
not there yet?
I could be convinced that Jalen Brunson is the king of New York. Jalen Brunson, last night, did something that absolutely needed to be done. After losing to the Lakers on Saturday, and not that anybody was worried about that loss. Look, LeBron James had a LeBron Jamesian type day, and sometimes you can't combat that. But Jalen Brunson had an off day, and OG got hurt, and the Lakers found a way to win, and the Knicks were left losing to a mostly Lakers crowd. But if they would have lost to the Houston Rockets last night, then we would have started worrying. Then we would have started saying, all right, well, some of these second-tier teams in the West are continually besting the New York Knicks. And Jalen Brunson refused to let that happen. That was actually your tweet. Yes. Jalen Brunson's going to refuse to let this team lose.
Well, and to your point, when Jalen Brunson has an off night, it doesn't happen very often, but it happens. When he has an off night, he responds every time. That's what kings do. That's what great players do.
Exactly. And that's my point. When the New York Yankees needed, for the first time in a long time, because they haven't been in the World Series in forever, it feels like, needed Aaron Judge to be a hero, he didn't do it. He didn't do it.
I'm not arguing. Keep going.
The last game, he started to play a little bit better, hit a home run, but he didn't do it. And so, is he still the king? I guess in name. But in feel, it's Jalen Brunson.
It's Jalen on every vibe, on every level, because
he hasn't won yet, though.
Well, neither of them have. What's Aaron Judge won?
At least he went to a World Series.
See, we're moving the bar here. Aaron Judge did go to a World Series, but as you know, as Sean knows, because I know he's chomping at the bit, as everybody knows, Aaron Judge was carried to a World Series. That's what happened last October. He was carried to a World Series.
We are talking regular season now.
Regular season, Aaron Judge was amazing. Of course, he won the MVP.
And so we're talking regular season also for the New York Knicks.
Jalen Brunson averaged 32 per game in his 13 playoff games last year. And the Knicks got to the second round of the postseason, and they were riddled by injuries. And I don't think anyone in their right mind would say that Jalen Brunson and the Knicks season ended because of Jalen Brunson. But if you didn't end because of Jalen Brunson.
So if we asked New Yorkers, it can't even really be Knicks fans or Yankee fans, because then you're skewed one way or another. But you're just a fan of sport.
That's why I'm so unbiased, because I hate everybody.
Honestly, put your independent sport evaluation hat on.
Yes.
And you look at both of these, but you have to know both of them. Know both of these players, what they're really good at, and which one of them is more important to their respective teams right now. Mm-hmm. Right? And especially, I guess we can go back to this last season. I think Jalen Brunson is absolutely more important to his team than Aaron Judge was a year ago. And when you think about who's the king of New York, that's what it's about.
Of course.
It's like, who is making my team go? The proverbial stirring the drink? Who is that for each of the respective teams in this city? And it's Aaron Judge and it's Jalen Brunson for these two examples we're setting right now. Who does it better? That's what we're asking. Who does it better? And I think there's an argument for Jalen Brunson.
So last year when I brought this up to you, Tiki was very adamant that it was Aaron Judge, that I was getting too far ahead of myself. And again,
you were.
I think I'm an independent observer in this. I'm certainly
Jalen Brunson only been here for like a year and a half.
That's fine. I'm not a Knicks fan. I'm not a Yankee fan. So this is one of those spots where you look into my eyes and you're looking for my angle. There is no angle.
Who does it better for their team?
Who does it better?
Better. That's all. That's the question we're asking.
Well, that's the question you're asking.
Well, that's the question that the king deserves.
See, there are other aspects of kingness that are a part of it besides who just does it better. There's something else, and it's a small thing, but it's something I noticed last year with Jalen Brunson, and I felt it last night watching that game at Madison Square Garden. Jalen Brunson makes an arena move. Jalen Brunson gives you hope. Jalen Brunson, while it's not all on him, Tom Thibodeau deserves a lot of credit, is the reason why when the Knicks fan goes to work on a Tuesday morning and a Tuesday afternoon and they're talking basketball at the water cooler, they can actually make an argument that they can win a championship. That is not something we've experienced in a very long time, and he's the reason why.
Yeah, but I'm
pointing at Tommy. I don't mean you. I mean Jalen. He's the reason why. And when you look at the money he took, that was less than what he could have taken. Mm-hmm. When you look at the Villanova connection, which is really about him, when you look at everything around this, he truly is the king. And that's not to diminish Aaron Judge. I'm not running him down. The only negative thing I said about Aaron Judge is that he dropped the fly ball in the World Series. That's not a negative. That's just a fact. That's just what happened.
They probably still lose the series.
Maybe. But Jalen doesn't have that moment attached to him. And so a year ago, when I brought this up, and you argued with me vehemently and said, not yet, not yet, a lot has changed. Jalen Brunson, I'd argue, and I don't think he gets enough attention for this, is better this year than he was last year. And you want to know why?
Why?
Because he was asked with the acquisition of Karl Anthony Towns and even the acquisition of Mikal Bridges to change his role. Instead of taking 22 shots a game, he's taking 17 shots a game. He's more of a distributor. But when it's balls to the wall time, like it was last night, what did Jalen Brunson say to 18,000 at Madison Square Garden? What did he say to Karl Anthony Towns, whose thumb is hurting? What did he say to all of his teammates? He simply said, get on my back, I'm your king.
Born to play basketball.
That's what he did. And so that's a king.
Yeah. No,
I think the dispute's over. I think it's time for you. I can't wait to hear Sean cry about it. I already know Tommy's on my side. That you just admit it. He's taking it from everybody.
I told you I could be convinced. In the short term, it's clearly Jalen Brunson. And that's because we're watching Jalen Brunson right now. Maybe we've forgotten the MVP season that Aaron Judge had a year ago. And so much of it, of the success of the Yankees from last year, it was a combination of everything, obviously, and Juan Soto being a big part of that, not to mention Giancarlo Stanton, who was amazing, especially in the postseason. But I think because the immediacy bias tells us it's Jalen Brunson, right now, most people are going to say Jalen Brunson.
Because of the now? Because it's February?
No. Because of the most immediate thing we remember.
Dropping the fly ball.
Yes.
Well, it
the
matters.
Most immediate thing we remember for Jalen Brunson and the Knicks is this dude is awesome. Well, it doesn't matter the circumstances you put him in. It doesn't matter the different pieces he add to this team and change, as you said, his role. He's still going to find a way to excel. And I think most importantly, and this is why I'm now leaning to your argument, is that when a game has to be won, you have to trust somebody. And you can trust Jalen Brunson. I think you've always been able to here as with the Knicks, but it felt very important in this game against the Houston Rockets, and he rose to the occasion. And the last example we have from Aaron Judge He didn't rise to the occasion that well.
No, not at all. Now, it's funny. He drops the fly ball, and I'm going to defend Aaron a little bit, but we forget in that game, he did hit a big home run.
Yeah, of course he did.
But unfortunately, it's forgotten about.
Right.
Sometimes it is your lasting image. The lasting image of the Yankees and Aaron Judge a year ago is dropping a fly ball.
But it's not even that. It's not. It's more than that. It's the Yankees were like, I don't want to say razor close because it wasn't really, but you know what I mean. They were close to beating the Dodgers.
Sure. In that game. And even in the series, every game was close.
Yes, what I mean. I'm talking about in the series.
I'm
talking about winning the World Series. And if Aaron Judge is simply average Aaron Judge, they win the World Series.
Well, that's my point. When you think of where and how the Knicks season ended last year, no one's blaming Jalen Brunson.
No.
Like, even when he got hurt in Game 7, I think most of us would admit, Tommy, you'd admit, it was over by that point. It wasn't going to matter. You weren't winning that game, and the odds were the run had kind of run its course. OG was hurt.
Yes.
Josh Hart was hurt.
Yeah, injuries added too much.
So the lasting image of Jalen Brunson was literally him going out like a warrior. Am I wrong?
No.
Died on the sword.
Died on the sword. I agree with you. All right, Sean. Have you been convinced before you? Because maybe this is one of those days where you're going to say, you know what, Evan? I'm going to be an independent observer, and I'm going to be honest. Jalen has taken the kingdom away from Aaron Judge, and maybe you'll put a crown on Tommy's head. I don't know. Floor is yours.
I'll be an independent observer, and I'm going to observe everything and tell everybody, whether you're in New Jersey, Connecticut, New York, free on the Odyssey app, anywhere you may be listening today. Don't fall for Evan Roberts' manipulative tricks.
What did I do?
Okay?
What does it matter if he's manipulating?
Because I'm just going to tell you right now. It's funny, Evan. It's really funny.
It's not like he's putting a Met on top of the.
I know. No, but this is one of Evan's favorite things to do. Take two teams he doesn't like and pin the fan bases against each other. That's an age-old Evan Roberts trick. Now I'm going to remind you of a couple things.
Yeah.
Evan started with something very important I want the audience to hear. It was about a year ago we got word from Gracie Mansion. It's funny how we never talked to Gracie Mansion in June, July, and August as Aaron Judge is having his second MVP year in 3 years in Tiki.
By the way, can I give you a reason on why? Yeah. I don't know if you're aware of this, and I'd rather not get into this. This is not a political show. The mayor's had some legal issues.
Okay, and that's why.
So I don't think the kingdom story was big enough. They were worried about other things, Sean.
Now, look, one thing I cannot argue with, and this is where I'll bend the knee a little bit to Jalen Brunson, the nature of the sport dictates that if you are an awesome star in the NBA in this town, you are going to be more kingly because you have more tangible opportunities to put a game away. You don't have 4 at-bats. The ball could be in your hands every possession, and that's what Jalen Brunson did. So Aaron Judge is the sport. The nature of what he's able to do in that sport without having the game in his hands that much dictates that. Now, you want to say he died on the sword in Game 7, Indiana, and, that was it, got hurt, and the wheels fell off. I can't disagree with that. But, boy, how we forget, while Tommy was riding roller coasters in Disneyland, Game 4, Knicks leading a series 2-1 versus the Indiana Pacers. Of course the Knicks are going to get past the Indiana Pacers. We got Jalen Brunson missing every single three-point shot he takes, scoring a measly 18 points. It was negative 27 when on the floor versus the Pacers, and they allowed the Indiana Pacers to tie that series at 2 games apiece. If Jalen Brunson was kingly that night, the series never even gets to 7, and he actually gets somewhere that Aaron Judge has been multiple times in his career, his league's championship series. So until Jalen Brunson, in a sport where it's easier to control things and not like baseball where Jalen Brunson only could touch the ball 4 times.
Okay.
I'm sorry, bro.
I want to retort that.
You're not the king.
So you bring up a bad Game 4, and it was. How'd he do in Game 5 with the series tied 2-2 at Madison Square Garden?
He was awesome.
How'd he do?
He was awesome.
Oh, okay. How many points did he score in that game? Do you know? Because I'll help you out if you forgot.
38.
44.
Okay.
Scored 44 in a Game 5 with the series tied 2-2. Tell me when Aaron Judge has done the equivalent of that in a series-defining moment. Go ahead.
What would be the equivalent?
I don't know. 3 for 4 with a home run.
By the way, he's had a couple of those in those playoff games. Okay, not enough. I agree.
But the wild card game against the A's.
Okay, well, we can't pick and shoot. Okay, this was the Indiana Pacers, bro. Okay, this also wasn't the Boston Celtics.
The Pacers went to the Eastern Conference Finals.
And that's great. The Knicks didn't exactly. You know what the Pacers are? They're the Minnesota Twins, and Aaron Judge would have taken care of them in that spot.
Not fair.
You're making me make it seem like I think Jalen Brunson is a court gesture in comparison to the King. I think he's a worthy candidate. My only point is he gets boosted up by the sport he plays and being able to touch the ball every step of the way. He is not the King. You got to get further than the second round, bro.
What he gets boosted up for, unfortunately, and this is where I guess there's negative campaigning, but I got to be honest, is Aaron Judge's October. Because you're right. going into that World Series, Aaron Judge had his chance to end this debate ever occurring. Ever occurring. I don't know if I would have brought it up on the one-year anniversary of us talking about this a year ago. Maybe I would have and said, by the way, as great as Jalen is, there's nothing he can do to catch Aaron Judge. World champion, Canyon of Heroes, had a big World Series. And he didn't do it.
Right.
And instead, despite the Yankees going to a place they hadn't been to in a long time, and despite Aaron Judge winning another MVP, our memory of Aaron Judge is that he was not good in October. This is just the facts. He wasn't good in October. He was carried to a World Series. So that hurts him. And yes, that elevates a guy like Jalen Brunson, who makes the second round of the playoffs routine now for the New York Knicks.
Okay.
That's routine. Even Tommy will tell you, second round of the playoffs ain't enough anymore.
And by the way, don't minimize that, making the playoffs and getting to the second round, because it would sure be nice if some of our other teams could just make it to the playoffs.
There is no doubt about that.
And how often have the Knicks done that over the last 20 years?
Exactly.
And so basically, we're going to boost Jalen Brunson up because the Knicks organization has not had the success of the Yankee organization.
No, because the town hasn't had the success.
All right. Then tell me this. Why is it that somebody could be...
We're not talking about the king of the North American sports.
But this is also
We're
part
talking
of
about
it.
the king of New York.
That's clearly Patrick Mahomes.
How could Jalen Brunson be the king of New York when he is lucky to get into the top 10 of the players in his sport? We're talking about a guy who might be the best player in his sport.
How?
Because he's in New York.
Because we're talking about...
So is Aaron Judge.
But we don't care about whoever else you're talking about in the NBA world, right? We don't care about Luka. We don't care about... Jokic. We don't care about Shai. We don't care about those guys.
We don't care about Shohei Ohtani either, but the point is Aaron Judge might be the best player in his sport. Jalen Brunson's not. I'm taking the guy who could be the best player in his sport on a team also that just made its championship than a guy who is not the best player in his sport and can't get out of the second round.
We will get to your calls. It's a very heated debate. It's a one-year anniversary of bringing this up a year ago.
And now you're bringing it up in July, by the way. I'm going to remind you that.
That's fine. I'll bring it up in July. It's the one-year anniversary and a lot's changed. Jalen had another kingly performance last night.
And also, by the way, on his kingly performance, I just want to remind everybody in the audience before you call, the team was down 11. Good for Brunson leading the comeback. The Rockets were missing 3 starters last night. Goodbye.
Well, what does that mean?
What does that have to do with it?
What does that have to do with anything?
It was awesome that he led a great comeback versus a G League team last night.
First of all, I understand that our team may have beat the Rockets by about 32 nights earlier.
The hapless Nets.
But that's irrelevant. No one's saying beating the Rockets was... In fact, I'll give you an example.
Well, we're doing the King of New York convo after they just beat a team lacking 3 of their 5
It's
starters.
not about the team they beat. It's about what Jalen continues to accomplish. Like, it's not about beating the Rockets. It's not measuring the Rockets against other elite-level teams. Last year, when Jalen had that emotional speech and had another kingly performance, and we talked about this, I couldn't even tell you who he beat. It's irrelevant. It's a nameless, faceless opponent. It's about the fact that this guy, kind of in an underrated way, continues to be incredible and continues to be the number one guy. So besmirching the Rockets just because they had injuries last night. I mean, they would have had a better chance to win if Sengun was playing.
Yeah, well, hold on. Enough of this crap. Shut up. They're not the sisters of the poor, by the way. They're well coached. They have a lot of energy. They're physical. So let's
Tommy,
not act
we
like...
have to get the break.
Evan had Thompson in the Hall of Fame by halftime, and all of a sudden they're a G League team. There's been a lot of subtle shots here at the Knicks by both of you.
Me. I'm on your side.
There's passive aggressiveness by Evan, and then Sean is just overtly taking shots at the Knicks. But I wrote a few of them down. We'll get to them.
I have done nothing.
No, you said they routinely get to the second round, which is so small.
No, Tommy,
it's your way of taking shots.
Tommy, see, you got that wrong, and I think even Tiki understood that. That's how kingly Brunson's been.
Yes.
That they are now. So you couldn't have read something more wrong. That's what he's done for the Knick fan and for all of us. He's been so good that getting to the second round, you damn right, is routine. And that's a compliment. It's like the Yankees making the playoffs. We're just like, the Yankees made the playoffs. That's what he's done. So, no, there's no passive aggressiveness. It's reacting to the accomplishments of what this man has done already for this town and for this franchise.
But you allowed Marash to call the Rockets a G League team.
I disagreed with him.
And you didn't even mention that Anunoby was out and we were missing a starter.
Can you help me out on this?
Yeah, but I mean, you're comparing who's out, who's not, who's playing, who's not. That's what we're doing. That's how you're.
I wasn't doing it.
That's what Sean is doing because he's losing the argument. So
the only thing you can do is look at what Jalen Brunson did.
That's it.
And the circumstances are exacerbated by the fact that they were down. And so when he scores 40, what did he score? 42? 42 in this game?
I think it was 42, yeah.
Was it 40? Yeah,
I forgot.
42.
I lost track. It was so good.
No, I'm thinking how many they scored in the fourth quarter. It was 46. I'm
46.
confused because of Emmanuel's update.
He also scored 29
in the fourth quarter.
He scored 29 in the second half.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about that for a
So
second.
42 for Jalen Brunson. And look, you can't diminish the impact that he's had and has continually had on this Knicks team. And it doesn't matter who the opponent is.
100%.
Especially in regular season NBA. Because in regular season NBA, Cat goes quiet.
Yeah.
Right? Or, I don't know, OG is out. You never know the circumstances.
100%.
It's just what you do in that moment. And in every moment, it feels like Jalen Brunson is always the king.
100%. I never brought up the opponent he did, so you should fight amongst yourselves.
Right.
We'll get your calls coming up, 888-808-1019. Plus, I appreciate you doing this very quietly. Tommy wrote me a letter, and he said, Evan, dear sir, there's someone else that needs to be mentioned in this discussion. Now, I don't know who he's going to bring up, but when we come up, I guess there's a third person that we're ignoring in this kingly discussion between Jalen Brunson and Aaron Judge.